Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final round of GT1 Season 9 racing for the United Racers League. I am Ken Rodriguez, and we are coming to you live from the Watkins Glen International Raceway in Watkins Glen, New York. Talking about Watkins Glen, we'll switch on over to the track map so that way we can bring you folks what these GT1 drivers are going to be experiencing here tonight. We're looking at 12 turns, and although the layout itself does not look very challenging, the version that we are running tonight does not have the bus stop chicane. So it eliminates two turns that these drivers have to deal with. However, nonetheless, the challenges of Watkins Glen lie in its cambered turns, high-speed sweepers, and the notorious Turn 1 complex, where a lot of folks will find that they will be taking it a little bit wide, as well as in Turn 2. So currently we are just waiting for the session to kick over into the quali session, so that way these guys can lay down their hot laps, and we may be waiting for one more driver. It's very possible to join the foray here tonight, but again, the finale coming to you from Watkins Glen International, and we're expecting a great race tonight. So far we have 17 drivers in the server that are ready to go, aching to go. And as you can see up on the timing board right now, fast laps from the practice session at 137.8, and that's pretty much what we saw the fast guys running here throughout the week in practice is 137s, mid 137s. We have a track temperature of 30 degrees Celsius and an ambient of 21. That's right now in the practice session. Things might change, however, for the qualifying as well as the race session. So we will have to wait and see what's going to happen there. Currently, the drivers are in their drivers meeting, and we're just waiting again to flip it over to the qualifier one session, so that way we can get this underway. One thing of mention that we'd like to remind everybody that United Racers League is we do not charge for racing. It is free to join. However, it is not free to run. And just a little housekeeping here is that we ask those that are watching by television and those that participate in the league, if you enjoy what you get here at United Racers League, we have some great folks that put this league together, and they put a lot of work into the league week after week, sometimes day after day. It's almost a full-time job that these guys do. We just ask that you consider a donation to the league. Doesn't have to be an exorbitant amount or a high amount. A couple of bucks every month would help to go a long way in providing better content for the league, improving the league, and growing the league as well. We're doing our best here because we believe that United Racers League is one of the premier European online virtual racing leagues for GTR2. So we ask that you consider a donation to the league, and we do thank all of those that have already contributed to the league in some form or another, whether monetarily or with their time and talent. Again, great community here at United Racers League, and our deepest desire is to continue to bring you great content, great car packs, good online racing. So again, if you have the opportunity, go ahead and make that donation. And if you like what you see and you haven't taken the step yet to get into some virtual racing, then we'd like to encourage you, get yourself a racing wheel and the pedal set, and come out and join us on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. UK time. That's United Kingdom time. We encourage you to come on out. Great racing on Tuesdays, and we alternate Tuesdays between GT3 racing and GT1. Sometimes there is a break in between in the middle of the season. So because this is the finale for the GT1, the next 2 weeks are going to be GT3 races. We don't have live broadcasts for those races as yet, but again, as I was explaining earlier, we're looking to expand the league and grow the league, and we hope to one day be able to bring you live coverage of the GT3 races. But for the moment, it is live GT1, and we have our very own Miguel Santiago Carao, who does do the post-race analysis of GT3 and a wonderful job. You can check our YouTube channel at youtube.com/United Racers League, and of course here on Twitch. That's www.twitch.tv/United Racers League. And so here we are. We have now switched over to the qualifying one session where these drivers tonight for GT1 Watkins Glen finale, they are going to go out and start putting down some hot laps as we're in the garage and we see that some folks are already headed out. We'll go ahead and turn up the sound. I encourage you by television to crank up the sound on your speakers or on your headsets, whichever you've got going for yourself, because it is going to be a barn burner tonight. And as we stated, Watkins Glen, while we are not running the version with the bus stop chicane, does not make this track any less challenging. These 600 horsepower GT1 cars are capable of speeds of nearly 180 miles per hour. So you're talking nearly 300 kilometers, and it is just ridiculous speed for a car that doesn't have any great front or rear wings like Formula One or IndyCar. These cars are lower downforce, yet they are no less slower for their capabilities and horsepower. And early on, it looks like we may be dropping one or two players. Hopefully, they do get the opportunity to rejoin in qualifying 2, which is unlocked for players to rejoin. So we're early on with Mikko Korkiakoski here as he drives around in the Chevrolet Corvette C5R. This is an older version, previous version of the newer C6R. And hopefully at some point in the future, if we continue to run the GTR2 simulator, we will see the C7R come to our car pack. A notable mention here that one of the unique things that this league has is an AM class in both GT1 as well as GT3. And here for GT1 we have some of the AM drivers out there, such as Florin Manilok, who is currently in the points lead with 53 points. Interestingly enough, Florin has to carry around with 30 kilograms of ballast tonight. Dubravko Brzancic, I do not know if Dubravko is with us tonight. He is not with us. We do not know if he will be able to make it into the Quali 2 session, but if he does, he's currently running second in the AM class with 46 points and carrying 40 kilograms should he make this venue in the qualifying 2. Kim Damholt, who also is not with us here tonight at the moment, is running third place with 38 points and would be carrying around 90 kilos. So a lot of weight for Kim Damholt should Kim make this this venue tonight. So what does that mean in terms of the points for the AM drivers? Well, you're missing 2 right now, Dubravko and Kim. Florin is out there, I believe. Let's take a look here as we look. Yes, Florin is here tonight. If Florin puts on a good show and finishes in first, then Florin will be taking home the driver championship for the AM class. If Florin fails to score within the points, then Dubravko and Kim or even Anze have a legitimate shot at perhaps winning the championship. We will have to see. So here we show you the AM standings for the URL-GT1 series. Now moving over to the Pro Series, we will bring up those statistics for you. Currently in first place is Mikko Korkiakoski with 175 points, carrying 50 kilograms of ballast tonight. Reinhard Berger is currently sitting in second with 168 points. However, Reinhard carrying 10 extra kilos for 60 kilos tonight. And in third, Tony Ukic with 161 points, 20 kilos. So your top 3 running very close tonight. Any one of these top 3 can run away with the driver championship. Fourth place going to Peter Backus. Peter Backus, however, is about 30 points back from third place, Tony Ukic, and I mean it would absolutely take. Now he can't even win the championship at this point because the points that are awarded are not sufficient enough to take over first place. Even if Mikko Reinhardt and Tony Ukic did not finish the race, Peter would not be the champion. One of the top three, however, based on finishing position, would take the championship. Now moving over to the team standings as we bring that up on the screen here. For GT1, you see that Corvette Racing, Reinhard Berger, Greg Metcalf are in first place with 297 points, but right behind them, B&T Competition, Tony Ukic, Peter Backus with 292, and in third, Mikko Korkiakoski and Steen Mikkel Olsen with 279 points. So in terms of the points championship, it is still possibly anybody's race at this point. So your early leader, Alex Scott, with these near perfect weather conditions at Watkins Glen, sets a blistering pace, 136.84. Tony Ukic not too far behind with a 137.111, and Florian Kutz with a 137.510. So almost a half a second behind second Florian, and Alex Fennell currently running fourth with a 137.6. Mikko Korkiakoski, again, he's carrying around 50 kilos of ballast, currently sitting in fifth. Reinhardt in sixth. Peter Backus in seventh. Steen Mikkel in eighth. Ninth is Miguel Santiago Carao. Fabio Bartolai in 10th. Avec in 11th, Mike Graytrix currently sitting in 12th, Anzi Rast in 13th, Angelo Guidici in 14th, Sando Donadel in 15th, Manilo Liguri in 16th, and Florin Manolok in 17th. And we want to remind our viewers by television, if you guys are watching this broadcast and see that I am currently not covering a driver that you want to see, I encourage you to send me a text via the chat channel here, the chat area, and I will be more than happy to cover the driver. Also, if you are watching by television and I am not on that driver for the moment and you want to see what the timing is, we encourage you to head on over to our website, UnitedRacersLeague.com, and up here in the upper right you can go ahead and click on live timing and it will bring up the timing scoreboard for you. This is live timing as it happens. So again, we encourage you to head on over to the website and look at our live timing feed. Now, looking quickly at your current pole sitter, Alex Scott with a 136. Driving the Maserati MC12. Very quick car, and it looks like that Alex Scott may have put into practice here this week because that's a blazing pace. I did not see that done in practice in the week leading up to tonight's race. Alex Fennell driving the Ford GT, currently sitting third. He's on an out lap. He's not on a hot lap right now. Florian Kutz on a hot lap right now. Coming into, I believe, what it is, the second sector now. We'll see what his time is. Clips the inside curb a little bit and gets a little squirrely. That's going to hurt his time a little bit. Hard turning into corner 6. Oh, and he slides it, and that's probably going to do it for this lap. There's no chance in getting a better time for Florian Kutz currently. Steen Mikkel Olsen, teammate to Mikko Korkiakoski, coming up on the first sector split. 0.133 seconds off the pole pace right now as he slides it into this long sweeper turn. Slight lift off of the accelerator. Third gear, sliding again, so a little bit of drifting going on through these corners for Steen Mikkel Olsen. Coming up on the second sector split. Steen currently about 0.4 of a second off of the pace as he slides it again into another sweeper. Not exactly sure if Steen has the best setup for that car, but he seems to be driving the wheels off of it as he takes it wide and finds the wall onto the grass, and it's going to hurt his chances for a good run at a better position. So no improvement for Steen currently. On board with Reinhard Berger, currently running in 9th place for qualifying. Again, we will remind you that Reinhard has 60 kilos of ballast. Quite a bit of weight. Reinhard taking it a bit wide there as he comes around the final corner. And just a little over a second off the pace of pole, so Reinhard improves his position to P8. Go back to the timing and scoring. We have about 3 minutes left to go, and Reinhard is going to take it right back out there again. On board with Angelo Guiducci, driving one of my favorite cars, the Lamborghini Murcielago. And Angelo just about a half a second off the pole, the pace of the pole position right now. So he may have found some speed. If he can keep it within a half a second, that is certainly going to improve his position here for tonight's race. Takes it wide into the grass, but does not seem to slow him down too much. We'll have to see in the second sector split. Should be there in about another 8 to 9 seconds. Oh, and that time did hurt him. His second sector is way slower, 1.8 seconds off the pole pace. Angelo currently running in 15th spot. Let's see if he makes any improvement here as he takes on the third sector of Watkins Glen. Very difficult, a bit more technical as the turns are a little bit tighter. Final corner. And yep, and he's no improvement for Angelo, unfortunately. Tony Ukic now up in second, Alex Fennell in third, and Peter Backus is fourth. Florian Kutz in fifth, Mikko Korkiakoski in sixth, and Steen Mikkel Olsen in seventh. Reinhard Berger improved his time to eighth, pushing Avec down to ninth. Fabio Bartola in 10th, Miguel Santiago Carao in 11th, Manilo Liguri in 12th, Mike Graytrix in 13th, Anze Rast in 14th, Angelo 15th, Sando in 16th. And again, Florin Manilok in 18th. I believe that Florin might be serving a no-qual penalty. So now Florian Kutz with a 137 flat improves his position up to P2. stays out for another lap. He believes he may have a better shot at running for pole here. I have no doubt that Florian may be thinking, as he is now on pole pace, if I was able to get that close to pole. Oh, and he pushes it just a little too hard. That is certainly going to hurt his time. Certainly going to hurt his time, as he now has thrown away the chance at pole position here with running it wide and into the grass. Tony Ukic now down to third, hoping that Florian's time will stick. I'm sure Florian is going to be taking keeping an eye on what Tony Ukic is doing here, as we have wound down the clock for qualifying one session. So some of these drivers getting in their last few corners. Tony Ukic with a bit of a slide. Working that third sector now. Trying to make the best of it. Perhaps driving the wheels off the car to try and get back that P2 position for the starting grid. And is he going to do it? Might he do it? And Tony Ukic sets a new fast lap record with a 136.7. Good on you, Tony. Wow, right at the last second, and after the qualifying clock has run down to 0, Tony Ukic is going to bump Alex Scott from the pole position. That was a fantastic run for Tony Ukic. So now we are moving over to the qualifying 2 session, and herein will allow folks to join. And it looks like Michal Klish and someone else did join back with us. So good to see these folks jumping back in. That'll give us 18 drivers for tonight's race. I'm going to cycle through everybody. We want to make sure that we are loading all cars and that we're not missing anybody. And while we are here in qualifying 2, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with you in a couple of minutes. Okay, and so we are back with live coverage of the United Racers League GT1 season finale at Watkins Glen International Raceway in Watkins Glen, New York. We want to welcome back our viewers to the online broadcast. Currently, we're sitting with 4 viewers, so we want to welcome everybody to this live broadcast, and we hope that you are enjoying the show so far. So, story of the night so far, Tony Ukic having pulled out an upset pole position. He set the record pace with a 136.765, ousting Alex Scott from the pole position that he set early on with a 136.8. And he did it after the clock had ran down to zero. These drivers typically get about 60 to 90 seconds additional to get that last lap in, and Tony Ukic certainly pulling out a rabbit out of his hat to take on the pole position. So we're going to have to see how that plays out in terms of the race tonight. Race strategy currently for warm up. Our track temperature 24 degrees Celsius and an ambient temperature of 19. We have conditions that are sunny and forecast is sunny. Will that remain the same for the race session? We do not know yet because anything can happen. The weather can change from one session to the next here in GTR2. So we just encourage everybody to go ahead and stay tuned and see all the action live from Watkins Glen. So here in the warm-up session, what do most guys do? Well, I'll tell you, they get out there and they try to get themselves ready for the race. How do they do that? Well, some guys will go out on track and practice their starts. Others will practice their pit-ins. Some will do both. It's a matter of preference for most of these guys going out there and determining what it is that they're going to be practicing during the warm-up, and that's why they call it warm-up. It is the prelude to the race session. So this is where these drivers are now starting to get into the mentality of focusing their minds on the task at hand of running for the next 60 or so minutes at an all-out pace that is going to give them the greatest advantage at a possible win or podium finish here at Watkins Glen International. And make no mistake, folks, I want you to understand that these drivers are very competitive by nature. The cars and the racing may be virtual, but the competition is 110% real, no different than a real race car driver would be experiencing out on a real race course. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that. And like I said, if you're watching by television, if you're watching the broadcast, and you see and you like what you're seeing here at the United Racers League, and you've not had the opportunity for online league racing, we encourage you, get yourself a wheel, get yourself some pedals, come on out, load up GTR2. It's very inexpensive. You can go to steampowered.com and purchase a copy of the GTR2 game. It comes complete with a registration code and a serial number that'll get you online racing. Head on over to UnitedRacersLeague.com, introduce yourself, get to know some of the folks on there, and if you have any questions, we have a great community of wonderful people that are always willing to help. Okay, the competition out on the track is real, folks, but the camaraderie in this community is greater than the competition out on the track. So we just want to encourage everybody, if you like what you're seeing, you haven't tasted it yet, you're missing a lot. I myself run in the GT3 League here at United Racers League on the alternate Tuesdays at 8 p.m. UK time. So if you're not too keen on running the faster, high horsepower GT1 cars, we invite you to join us for the GT3 class. These are production cars with lower horsepower, somewhere in the area of between 400 and 500 horsepower. They're not as fast as the GT1 cars, but they're really not much different. Only the speed makes the difference. And here we'll probably watch Tony practice his launch for the race session as he lines himself up in his grid spot. Little bit of a burnout there, but you see that he is trying to track straight and practice his launch for the start of the race, which is about 3 minutes away, folks. So we're back with you. A little under a minute left to go in the warm-up session. Immediately after this, we will be taking it to the race session, and we will see these guys go head-to-head for approximately 60 minutes or a little bit above that. Some drivers actually try their starts here in the pit lane because it's less dangerous than being out on the actual track, and so it gives them an opportunity to gauge what they need to do for their start to gain the upper hand, or as they call it, the advantage in the whole shot. So we should be switching over to the race session here shortly. I'd say within the next 30 to 60 seconds, and we're going to bring you all the live action from Watkins Glen International. We want to thank you folks by television that are watching our live broadcast on Twitch. And we want to welcome everybody. We'll be back with you for the start of the race. All right, and we have just switched over to the race session, so we are back with you, and we're going to take it from the top, the running order. Your pole sitter for tonight at Watkins Glen, Tony Ukic. Starting second, Alex Scott. Florian Kutz will start third. Alex Fennell in fourth. Peter Backus in fifth. Mikko Korkiakoski in sixth. Steen Mikkel Olsen will start seventh. Reinhard Berger will start eighth. Avec Panexander will start ninth. Fabio Bartolai will start in 10th. Miguel Santiago Carao in 11th. Manilo Liguri in 12th. Mike Greatrix will start 13th. Anze Rast in 14th. Angelo Giudici in 15th. Sando Donadel in 16th. Michal Klisch will start 17th. Florin Manilok will start 18th, and Ruan Joubert will start in 19th. That is your running order. We're going to take it out to the field now and see who is ready to go. Waiting for your race leader for another 40 seconds. He's got to get out on track. So Tony Ukic probably making some last minute adjustments as we see that he is out on track, and he is now getting ready to go. Some of the drivers jumping in and out of the pit stops, out of their pit stalls, making last minute adjustments that they feel might give them a slight advantage. We have about 15 seconds left to go, and we'll see the clock go yellow once there's 10 seconds. So here we are, ready to go from Watkins Glen International as the engines start to rev. Lights going out, and they're off and running. Tony Ukic. Oh, Reinhard Berger loses it in the background. We see him slam one wall and then the other. Tough break for Reinhard, but Tony Ukic is going to take advantage and gets the whole shot, takes it a little wide. Alex Scott currently running at second with Florian Kutz hot on his tail, and Alex Fennell looking on the inside, looking to make an early pass for that P3 spot, but not going to get it done. Tony's teammate Peter Backus moves up to fifth, and Steen Mikkel Olsen to sixth. Fabio Bartolai now getting advantage up to seventh. Mikko Korkiakoski in eighth, but look at this, Mike Greatrix in that Ferrari carrying no weight. Going to take a look on the inside, but thinks better of it. It's going to back up out of it. Avec Panexander driving the Mercedes in 10th. Ruan Joubert moves himself all the way up from 18th to 11th. Sando Donadella in 12th. Michael Klisch in 13th. Florian Manalock 14th. Miguel Santiago Carao in 15th. I believe he got caught up there with Reinhard Berger on that start line melee that happened. Angelo Guidici also getting caught up on the first lap melee. Reinhard Berger gets himself pushed down to 17th. And Manilo Liguri in 18th. So it looks like we had some issues in the very early stages just off the start line. We're going to have to figure out what happened there. Maybe on the race replay we'll get to understand a little bit better. But your race leader already out there, Tony Ukic, placing a slight gap between himself and Alex Scott. But Alex Scott pushing as hard as he can in that Maserati. That very loud and powerful Ford GT of Florian Kutz currently running in third. But he's got some hot and heavy hitters right behind him. Steen Mikkel Olsen in fourth and Peter Backus in fifth. They're battling it out for that position right now, pushing as hard as they can. However, Steen taking a little bit of a defensive line, slowing the train down, is giving Mikko Korkiakoski a little bit of opportunity to gain on them. Alex Fennell in 7th, having been up as high as 4th, slips down, perhaps taking a corner too wide. We don't know, but we know that he is under pressure from Mike Greatrix, running a great race here tonight in P8. Taking a look back at that McLaren of Fabio Bartolai. Fabio seems to be hooked up a little bit here tonight as he's putting the pressure on Mike Greatrix now for P8. Looking out the bonnet cam from has to brake check himself. Fabio nearly getting into the rear of Mike Greatrix as he goes deep into the braking zone. And now Fabio has some competition from another Maserati. Gonna take a look on the inside, but Fabio says, "Nuh-uh, I'm closing this door for now." So Ruan Joubert trying to capitalize on Fabio going deep into the braking zone and perhaps having to slow down a little bit too much there, but can't get it done just yet. And there's still a lot of racing to go, fellas. So settle down, drivers, settle down. Ruan Joubert all over Fabio's tail, trying to gain the advantage. He's going to get some pull here. Is he going to get it done? He takes a look on the inside. Oh, but Fabio is giving him the lights, just giving him the position. Sometimes it's what you got to do, folks, because you know what? You know when you can't hold off a driver that's just a little bit faster, perhaps maybe it's just better to let him by. We've got some great racing going on here for P8. Mike Greatrix now going to come under tons of pressure by Ruan Joubert, but if I know Mike Greatrix, and Mike Greatrix and I have a little bit of history, he's not just going to roll over and give it to him, but Ruan taking a look on the inside is going to probably gain the advantage. But don't count out that Ferrari 550 Maranello. It's got a lot of legs down these straightaways. As you can see that Mike Greatrix having to brake a little bit earlier, but he can pull away on the straights at will. So we're going to move up the grid a little bit here as we have a four-way battle, it looks like, for P4. Steen Mikkel Olsen with Peter Backus all over Peter Backus on the inside, taking a look with Mikko just behind him. And Alex Fennell also getting into this for a race. So a four-way battle for P4 ensuing right now. Great racing going on, folks. Great racing. We're going to move up just a little bit above, up the order to take a look where everybody else is at. Tony Ukic currently right now out there kind of by himself with a 2.2 second lead over Alex Scott. And Florian Kutz is about 3.6 seconds back, and Steen Mikkel also here from 4 to 7. There is your battle out on the field. It is right here with P's 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Wow, great racing going on as these guys come 3 wide through the sweeper turn. So you got the teammates in the Corvettes that are trying to battle it out for position. Steen, Mikkel, Olsen leading this pack. Mikkel trying to get by Peter Backus. Not happening right now. Taking a look to the inside goes Mikko. Oh, and they touch. Nearly gets Peter Backus a little sideways, but Peter able to save it, keep it going. Clearly Peter Backus with pace over Steen, Mikkel, Olsen, but Steen, Mikkel, Olsen is fighting very hard to keep that position. How much longer can this keep up before something bad happens or one of them concedes their position to the other? Jumping on board with Peter Backus. Is he going to take a look on the inside? Will he be able to outbreak him into this corner? No, it looks like Steen, Mikkel, Olsen going to close the gap. Going to close the door, I'm sorry. Looking back at Mikkel's car. Mikkel all over the bumper of Peter Backus right now, trying to make way. And not far behind him, we have Alex Fennell trying to get by Mikko Korkiakowski. Again, Peter Backus with some pull. Oh, a block move by Steen, Mikkel, Olsen. Side by side into the sweeper they go. Who's going to give the advantage? Going to Steen, Mikkel, Olsen. Oh my goodness. Woo, this is great racing, folks. Great racing. Going to jump on the chase cam and get ahead of Steen, Mikkel, Olsen so we can look back at this great battle that's ensuing here, folks. Not that we want to take away any credit or any time away from anybody else on the track right now, but this is the hot battle that's going on. Peter Backus takes it a little wide and touches the grass, but he doesn't lose much momentum. Again, clearly I'll state this again. Peter Backus with pace over Steen, but Steen not giving an inch. Not giving an inch to Peter Backus. No doubt Peter Backus getting a little frustrated here as he's starting to close that gap. Perhaps trying to drive a little bit more aggressively. Steen going to take it deep into the braking zone. Peter Backus trying to get the advantage coming out of the corner. Oh, touches the outside white paint. It's a little slippery out there. Boy, I hate to peel away from this battle, so let's take a look on the timing board, see where other battles are starting to ensue. And Peter Backus gonna get it done. Gonna get the pass done. And here comes Mikko, so Steen is gonna concede P5 to his teammate. Perhaps telling him, go ahead, you give it a try and catch Peter Backus. Not going to be an easy task, considering that Mikko is carrying around 50 kilos of ballast, and I believe that Peter Backus is not carrying, or if he is, it's very low amount of ballast that he may be carrying around. So now, Peter Backus starting to check out. Up front with Alex Scott in P2, looking ahead to P1. Tony Ukic. Tony running a near flawless race right now, and he is your race leader. Alright, and the next battle out on track right now, Mike Graytrix trying to fend off a hard charging Ruan Hubert. And Ruan Joubert also having his own little battle here with Fabio Bartolai. Now remember that Fabio conceded the position to Ruan, but I guess Fabio thinks, hey, if I can get behind Ruan and just follow him around the track, I have an opportunity at improvement here tonight. Again, Mike Graytrix, we're looking ahead at his car right now. He's driving that Ferrari 550 Maranello. That car, while it may be a little long in the tooth, meaning that it has been in our car pack for a very long time, is no slouch in terms of horsepower and handling. And as you can see, Ruan gets up close, but going down those straights, Mike Graytrix can just floor that throttle and just pull away at will. So cycling a little further down the field, Avik Paniksan, they're currently running in 11th, has Michal Klisch all over his tail. So we've got a great oh, Avik finding the wall, having to go to the inside is Michal Klisch. Michal is going to go ahead and take that position away from Avik. Reinhard Berger currently running in 13th after having a start line mishap with his Chevrolet Corvette. Works his way up into P13. And again, folks, you know, it's not about the win, but it is about important points for both the driver and team championships. Miguel Santiago Carao still with heavy damage to the front of his Ferrari running in P14. Angelo running in 15th. Florin Manalock in 16th. Florin, who is in our AM class. Well, let's take a look here again at this the AM class standings. Florin is your points leader with 53. He's carrying around about 30 kilos of ballast, but currently leading the AM class. Driving the McLaren F1 Longtail. Manilo Liguri in 17th. Sando Donadel in 18th. Anze Rast in the Ferrari F40. Currently running in 19th. Up front, Tony Ukic, still your race leader, running, like I said, a near flawless race. Alex Scott in P2, and not far behind them, Florian Kutz driving the Ford GT in P3. Moving a little further back, Peter Bacchus in P4. Mikko Korkiakowski. Doesn't look like Mikko has what it takes to close that gap too much to Peter Bacchus. So what does that mean here, folks? Your guess is as good as mine. I can only think that pit strategies tonight are probably going to play an important role in the outcome of the finishing order for this race here at Watkins Glen International. Alex Fennell managing to get around Steen. Steen now drops down to P7, and it looks like Steen may have had an incident because looking at the front of that Corvette, he's got it all smashed to pieces on the front left corner. So that front left fender aero damage, no doubt going to cost him a couple of seconds here on these long straightaways and sweeping turns around Watkins Glen. Mike Graytrix losing the P8 position to Fabio Bartolai. Fabio going ahead and just kind of cruising on by Mike. Now Michal Klisch getting by Ruan Joubert, so they might have had an issue or an off there. Not exactly sure what happened, and I'm sorry that I missed it, but we do see that the blue flag is waving from one of the marshals on the side of the track. But we'll stay on board here with this battle right now as Ruan Joubert is battling for P10 with Michal Klisch. Maserati against the Porsche. So we've had a drop and not too sure. Oh, nope. Peter Backus makes it by Florian Kutz. Oh boy, folks, I'm really sorry that I missed that. Well, it looks like Florian Kutz may have had an off because if we take a look at his car, it's got some damage to the front left of it. And so now Florian is going to come under some pressure here from Mikko Korkiakowski. So Mikko now is going to have a look and see if he can capitalize on Florian's mishap. A reminder to you folks watching by television that Mikko Korkiakowski is carrying around 50 kilos of success ballast, not penalty ballast. This is success ballast. What's the difference? Absolutely nothing. It's still a sack of rocks that gets thrown into your car. Mikko taking a look inside, and Florian, with all of that aero damage in the front, loses the advantage to Mikko Korkiakowski, as Florian Kutz now going to try and answer back with an over-under, perhaps? Not going to make it happen. This is a short shoot straight, not long enough to gain any advantage through the draft. Oh, but Mikko taking it a little bit wide, opting for a late apex. So a great battle going on here for P4, as we saw that Mikko Korkiakowski was able to put the pass on Florian Kutz, but Florian, certainly not one to give up any positions willfully, is trying to fight back, but it looks like Mikko might be finding a little bit more traction here and putting a bit of a gap there. So certainly the aero damage on Florian's car, no doubt playing a part here tonight in his performance. Alex Fennell up to P6 and Steen Mikkel in 7. Fabio Bartolai, earlier we saw him get around Mike Great Tricks running in 9th. Avec Panixander in 10th, not being challenged too much right now by Miguel Santiago Carao. And Miguel, again, heavy damage, no doubt, is affecting that Ferrari's performance here at Watkins Glen. And why? Well, Watkins Glen has a lot of long straightaways and some sweeping turns where the aero of the car, the aero setup of the car is very important, very crucial. No doubt this is causing some issues with handling. Probably getting some push through the corners now, and essentially when you are pushing means you have to turn the steering wheel even more, means that you are experiencing higher tire degradation as well as faster tire degradation. So it's a balancing act, folks. These drivers have to pay attention. Remember, as this is GTR2 virtual online racing, the drivers are the crew chief, they are the pit crew, they are the chief engineer, the assistant engineers, and the strategists all in one. So a lot going on in that cockpit as these drivers are driving around these race courses. So they have their hands full, literally, as well as their minds. That is one of the attractions of this hobby, however, that you get to be all in one. Forming up here between Angelo and Florin. Florin having gotten up there in positions earlier, not exactly sure why he's back here in 14th, but looks like he may be dropping off the pace just a little bit. Anze Rast in 15th. Ruan Joubert parks it. What happened, Ruan? Reinhard Berger also parks it. Sando parks it. So we have a total of 15 drivers left out there. We've lost some through attrition. Not what we'd like to see here at United Racers League. Up front, the battle still rages on. Let's take a look back at our timing and scoring. We are currently working lap 12 out of a scheduled 36 laps. So I think we might be seeing within the next 5 or 6 laps here, some of these drivers are going to start making their way into the pits for their rotations. I would have to think that some of these guys with heavy damage on their cars would take advantage of fixing their aero. We got to remember that because of the pit stop and the way it works, your aero damage can be fixed while your tires are being changed with no additional time added to your pit stop. So hopefully these guys will remember that and take advantage of getting that aero fixed. We're going to keep it on here with your race leader. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, folks, and we are back. Still on board with your race leader, Tony Ukic. Currently running in second, Alex Scott. Peter Backus in third, and we saw Peter Backus how he got up there. He he had to battle his way, but boy, what a battle it was. Miko Korkiakowski in fourth, Florin Kutz in fifth, Alex Fennell in sixth, Steen Mikkel in seventh, Fabio in eighth, Mike Graytrix currently running in ninth, Avik Panexander in 10th. Miguel Santiago Carao now makes his way up to P11. Manilo Liguri in 12th. Florin Manolok in 13th. Angelo Guidici in 14th. Anze Rast in 15th. That's your running order, folks. We only have 15 cars left. We started with 18. We're down to we started with 19, I believe. Let's take a look at some of these lap times as they have worn on now for some time. We see that Tony Ukic for the most part, pretty consistent with the 138s, 139s, and it looks like, oh, Alex Scott with a big slide and is able to save it. Good on you, Alex. Probably trying to push a little bit too hard, but we see that getting back to Tony, he's been pretty consistent now, starting to slow down a little bit with the 139s as we get close to the pit rotation times. And Alex Scott not too far off of Tony's time, so was able to keep a good gap, but that gap now increases to 2.4 seconds as we just saw Alex Scott had a pretty nasty slide there. So it looks as we are approaching the midway point here in the next 3 laps that Steen is starting to make some inroads to Alex Fennell's position for P8. I'm sorry, for P6. So could it be that Alex Fennell's tires, his rear tires perhaps on those heavy Fords, may be giving way here? We have absolutely gorgeous racing conditions, 27-degree track temperature and a 19-degree ambient. Not a hint of rain anytime soon. So we see the first round of pit stops happening now as Mikko Korkiakowski and Alex Scott make their way into the pits. That was P2 and P4. Currently 10th and 11th now as Manilo Liguri gets by. So Alex Scott looks like he's going to get the advantage out of the pits. I don't know if Mikko was hoping to jump him in the pits. It didn't happen that way. So Alex Scott going to get out first. Fresh rubber, no doubt, a full tank of petrol to get him to the end of this race. So Alex Scott coming out in P10, and that, folks, will start to sort itself out as the pit rotations do take shape here. I'm sure that we'll start seeing some other folks come in. Out front, Tony Ukic, Peter Backus, teammates. They are in the hunt. They are in the hunt for the team championship. Florian Cutts now into the pits. Alex Fennell stays out, taking over P3 now. Steen will move up to 4. So everybody's going to move up a position now that everybody behind Florian will move up a position now that Florian has come in. But again, folks, as the pit rotations complete themselves, we'll start seeing things work themselves out unless the strategies have changed. Don't know if anybody will be double stinting, although I have to say that the conditions are optimal for some of these cars to be able to double stint tires. Mike Greattricks up to P6, still hasn't pitted. Running a brilliant race here tonight, Mike. Avec Alexander in P7, Manilo Liguri in P8. These guys still have yet to pit. Alex Scott now moves up to P9. And Florin Manilok running in P10. Mikko Korkiakowski came out in P11 from the pits. Angelo Giudici running in P12. Just love that Lamborghini. Florian Cutts now out in P13, and Miguel Santiago Carao. Let's take a look at his car real quick. Not sure if Miguel pitted is yet. Going to go back into the timing and scoring to take a look here. And he did. I guess he opted not to get the damage fixed. And again, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't, because that aero damage gets fixed while your tires are being changed. It does not add any time to your lap above and beyond what changing your tires and adding fuel will do. So we see some more pit rotations happening here. Alex Fennell, Steen Mickle, and Mike Greatrix are in the pits. Your top five still yet to pit, on board with your race leader. Let's see what's going to happen this time around. Will Tony Ukic decide to bring it into the pits? And yes, he does. So your race leader coming in. Peter Backus running in second. Let's see what's going to happen with Peter. Peter's going to stay out. So Peter Backus will now inherit the lead over his teammate, Tony Ukic. And now Fabio Bartolai is going to bring it in, so he will concede his positions to those that are running behind him that have already pitted. Avec Panexander looks like he's taking it on the inside also, but no, Avec is going to stay out another lap, so Avic's going to move up to P3, and now P2. So Peter Backus, still your race leader. Alex Scott in P6. About a minute and 7 seconds between Peter Backus and Alex Scott. Now, Tony Ukic is out in P3. And Alex Scott now moves up to P5. And still Peter Backus, Avec, and Manilo yet to pit. So about a 10-second gap between Tony Ukic and Alex Scott. Your race leader, Peter Backus, now coming in. Into the pits. Let's see if we can help figure out this strategy here, folks. Is he going to double stint his tires? Looking at Tony Ukic's time. Looks like Tony Ukic is on a double stint. Will Peter Backus go up on the jacks? Or is he just putting fuel in? There we see one of the McLarens take off. I did not see the jacks for Peter Backus. And the other McLaren takes off from the pits now, so they're off and running. Could it be that Peter's just taking fuel? Anze Rast coming into the pits. We see him in the background. So now Avec Panexander will lead this race for a lap. If he does not decide to come in, he's getting some great fuel mileage out of that Mercedes AMG car. Can only think that Avec now has to come into the pits because there's only but so much distance you can get on these cars fuel wise. And Avic's lap time's in the 140, so not quite as fast as your front runners in the 138s. And it looks like Avik Alexander is now starting to slow it down sufficiently enough, so he's going to bring it into the pits. And now Tony Ukic, as he comes around turn 11, will now take back over the lead. And I'm pretty sure this is how it will be till the race end, unless, God forbid, something happens. And we don't want to give anybody the broadcaster's curse. And we are now down to 15 active drivers. We just lost somebody. Not sure who we lost. A reminder to the drivers who do watch the rebroadcast. Okay, league rules indicate that if your race is over, I mean, unless it's something that is beyond your control, you should be staying connected to the server, not just dropping off. We do have some measures in place to help alleviate the possible consequences of what can happen to other drivers due to GTR2's netcode being a little wacky, but the rules do state that you can be penalized for disconnecting your session if your race ends prematurely. So we just want to remind our drivers of that. So your race leader, Tony Ukic, out in front. Alex Scott about 8.6, 8.5 seconds back. Mikko Korkiakoski in third. Peter Backus in fourth, and Alex Fennell in fifth. Now, here's a great battle that's starting to form itself. These two drivers have both pitted. I would assume that Peter Backus, because of the length of his pit stop, let's go take a look at that. A 3:03 lap time for his pit stop. I am going to assume that he did not double stint and that he took on fresh tires. So they're both on fresh tires, but Peter Backus seems to have some great pace here tonight. Alex got his work out. Alex Fennell has his work cut out for him to catch Mr. Backus. Mike Graytrix improves his position up to P6. Now, Mike Graytrix did have his pit stop about 3 laps ago, so good on you, Mike, for keeping yourself out there and just putting your head down and your right foot, keep it pegged to the firewall. Miguel Santiago Carao now improving to P8. Teammates to Mike Graytrix. And an opportunity here if Miguel can keep it running clean to perhaps make up some ground on steam. There's about an 8.5 second gap now between those two, but anything is possible here in GT1. So no very close battles right now out on the field. I mean, the closest one that we have right now is with Alex Fennell and Peter Backus, but Peter Backus seems to be pulling out a gap over Alex Fennell quite easily, I might say. So looks like the advantage on pace goes to Peter Backus. Taking a look back at timing and scoring, everybody seems to be fairly well spaced out there. Again, the closest battle between Alex Fennell and Peter Backus, but they're separated by nearly 2 seconds. Not an immediate threat there if Peter Backus can just keep his race line clean. And everybody else seemed to be very, very well spaced out. After the pit rotations, Florin Manilok, one of our AM drivers here, he is leading the AM points, running in 11th. Fabio Bartolai, he's another AM driver here, running in the AM class. And folks, what AM stands for, just in case you don't know, is amateur. We have pro and amateur. The amateur class is to give the opportunity to the lesser experienced driver to gain the experience necessary to work their way up into the pro ranks. And that is determined by the administration of the race league. And folks, some late breaking news here, as we are currently working on lap 24 of a scheduled 36, so 12 laps yet to go, and we have just seen the rain come down. So it is starting to rain here at Watkins Glen. And boy, oh boy, we know that the rain can be a great equalizer in GT1. This is, boy, we don't know what's going to happen, but this can certainly change things around. Gonna have to talk to my weatherman because I did not see that one coming, and I was not advised from the weather booth that we had potential adverse weather coming in. Oh, and Alex Fennell out with an accident. Oh, that's going to move everybody up a position that was behind Alex, starting with Mike Graytrix, all the way on down to Anze Rast. So everybody will move up a position now. Oh, so sorry for Alex Fennell. So that was your closest battle between Alex Fennell and Peter Backus. So that now has been terminated. Peter Backus kind of running out there all by himself. No one to challenge him, and he's not challenging anybody right now. Mikko Korkiakowski running out there by himself in third as we see the sparks coming off the rear of that Corvette C5R. So these drivers certainly running a low setup. And not so much that, also that these banked corners produce a lot of downforce in these GT1 cars. Alex Scott, your second place runner right now, and Tony Ukic out there in first. Looking to see if there are any signs, as we see that the Ferrari has the Lamborghini a little bit further back has an off. That is one of our Italian drivers back there driving that car, and so we're looking to see if any spray is going to start forming on the back tires of these vehicles. And we see that the skies have darkened and the clouds have rolled in. It is completely overcast. There are some drops that are forming. Is this going to make a difference here? Folks, we've got 10 laps left to go. Anything can happen. If this track goes damp within the next lap or two, boy, I gotta tell you, it's gonna certainly be a game changer for some of these drivers up front. And we see Miko being the first one to pull it in. We don't know exactly why. He's up on the jacks, it looks like, and maybe going for a tire change. Track conditions still showing dry. Not exactly sure why Miko came in that way. He's dropping like a stone in a pond right now, but we were about to see a great battle ensue between him and Mike Graytrix or Steen. But here we have Miko coming into the pits, and he will go down a lap. We see that Miko pitted quite a few laps ago. Had a 2:15 lap. Not exactly sure what happened there. Boy, oh boy. And he's off again. However, albeit one lap down. All right, so out front with your race leader, Tony Ukic, has led this race since the green flag dropped, only gave up the lead to Pitt, and is right back out in front again. And with the fact that Reinhard Berger is now out of contention for the race for the Drivers' Championship, Mikko Korkiakowski has 175 points. Mikko currently running in 10th. 10th gives him 11 points, but a win with a pole for Tony Ukic gives him 26 points, which would bring him up to 187 points. Boy, oh boy, if this finishes out the way it is, I think we're looking at Tony Ukic taking the championship. Because at 10 points, that would put Mikko Korkiakowski at 185 points. But a win with the pole for Tony Ukic would give him 185. 187. He would certainly take the championship here tonight. We'll have to see how this one plays out. But your race leader, Tony Ukic, currently running first, unchallenged. Alex Scott, second place. Peter Backus in third. And is really starting to show here, folks. We've gone to a damp track. 8 laps left to go. Does Tony have what it takes with an 8.7 second lead over Alex Scott to take the win here, folks? I can tell you this much. It's not a lot of fun to drive on a damp track with slick tires. This can be this can be a game changer, guys. This can be a game changer. I know that Tony Ukic must be thinking to himself, I've got this championship in the bag if I can just hold out. It's damp. We don't know how bad it is. Maybe we can tell if we jump on board. We see some slight spray that's forming off the back of his car, but he is now babying his Lister Storm around the turns. And we see the difference with a 141 to that last lap, not able to get on the throttle as early as he'd like. Nope. And Peter Backus with a little bit of a slide. Boy, oh boy. Tony Ukic babying his car. Sorry, folks, we got a little confused there on timing and scoring, but Tony Ukic, let's take a look back here. Watching his lap times. Yep, we were correct. His lap times have now slowed down into the 141s. We'll have to see what happens when he comes by the start-finish line this time around. Still making his way through the third sector. And it looks, as he takes the outside line, looks like he may be staying. Yep, he's going to stay out. Tony Ukic not going to bring it in just yet. Comes across the line, and we see that this rain is starting to take effect on those slick tires. Comes across the line with a 144.709. Now, Alex Scott, with a little bit of a faster pace by about 2/10 with a 144.560. So nearly 2/10 faster, as we see that the gap not shrinking by much, still 8.8 seconds, but we know that Mikko Korkiakowski did go in and did have a tire change several laps back. So we'll take a look as Mikko now jumps up to 7th. Had a 215 and now back down to 143, 145. Not going to get it done if the front runners are still running in the 144s, 143 lap time range. I gotta say that tonight has been a night of upsets. Are we going to see another upset in watching Tony Ukic take the championship, or will he end up being upset by the change in weather and having to take on tires? So these guys are certainly out there on slicks. We see them babying their cars around these turns. Little battle that's probably going to form here for P4 between Steen Mikkel Olsen, Mike Graytrix. Miguel Santiago Carao is running in 6th place, and Mikko Korkiakowski in 7th. Florin Manalok, our amateur class race points leader, in 8th, babying the McLaren F1 Longtail around this track. We see that it wants to fishtail, so he is just babying the throttle. Avec Paniksander, a little bit quicker there. He's looking quite racy. We see a lot of that spray just coming off the back of his car as he hits those puddles down the long back straightaway here at Watkins Glen International. Oh, and we see that Alex Scott takes it way wide. Oh, and Alex Scott now starting to slide that car around these corners. He is trying his hardest to keep it straight as possible, but again, folks, the rain here changes everything up. Tony's lead now increases to about 8.5 seconds, and the last lap time, so certainly it's going to take a toll. 148. So these guys are driving on ice out there right now as we see Tony Ukic's Lissa Storm start to slide as he's trying to baby his car around. We know that there's only 36 laps scheduled here tonight. Does he have enough to keep it out there? We are currently running lap 31, just 5 little laps to go. Who made the right choice? From P7 on down to 11, everybody is either 1 or 2 laps down. Do they have enough to unlap themselves? And even if they did have enough to unlap themselves, do they have enough to make it past your front runners who are now kind of snailing their way around the track? So here we are at the very end of this race, and your race leader, Tony Ukic, out there trying to make the best of a really bad situation right now. And this track has gone wet. The track has gone wet. Drivers are adjusting their driving styles, those that have remained on dry tires. Miguel Santiago Carao says, I can't take no more of this. I'm going to come on in. Florin Manalok just kind of babying his car around this track right now. Alex Scott able to close the gap to Tony Ukic by about 1 second, so he's down to about 7.6 second gap. Peter Backus, however, has not changed his tires, and you can see it in his lap times as they drop down into the 157s. Tony Ukic into the 153s. Alex Scott into the 154s. Steen into the 156s. Mike Gratrix, who also has not come in, into the 157. So, and Mikko Korkiakoski. Wow, 158, 239. That last one. Did he go in and change his tires in hopes of being able to get past the leaders? Highly doubtful. So, folks, we have just another 4 laps to go. And it's going to kind of seem like an eternity here. Alex Scott getting into the grass on wet grass. Boy, not good, not good, Alex. Gets a little bit of aero damage in the front left, but he is still running in P2. P3, Peter Backus still well back, but not by much. Sliding all over the place. Steen Mickle, 4th. Mike Gratrix concedes the position to Steen, running in 5th now. With a lapped car in between them. Oh, Mike Gratrix with a slide. Miguel Santiago Carao also babying his car down that long stretch. Turns the lights on. Passes the bus stop chicane. Boy, I bet you these guys are happy we're not running that bus stop chicane here tonight. Out front with your leader, Tony Ukic. We see the spray is coming up. We know that Tony's on dry tires. They did not expect this. We're starting to see the reflections on the tarmac, on the road surface, so we know that it's very slick out there. But Tony's just going to stay out there, and if he's come this far, folks, he's going to stick it out to the end. There's no sense in trying to pit now. You know you'll lose that P1 position. Just the best recourse at this point is to make the best of a really bad situation, and staying out there is probably the smart thing to do. The gap to Alex Scott increases to 22.9. We saw Alex Scott had an off into the barrier a little bit earlier. He got into the grass. These drivers are now having to baby their cars around. Third position, Peter Backus. Still out there running as best as they can as he brakes very early. These guys in the dry were braking right at the beginning of that asphalt strip. Having to get early. Oh, he takes it into the grass a little bit. Be careful there, Peter. Steen in P4. Mike Gratrix in 5th. Miguel Santiago Carao in 6th. Miko in 7. Avec in 8th. Florin Fabio Anzi. Manilo. And that is your running order, folks. Working on lap 35. as this race is coming to a close. On board with your race leader, Tony Ukic. Alex Scott in P2, Peter Backus in P3. We will ride it out with your leader to the end. Well, I gotta tell you, Tony Ukic has run a brilliant race tonight. And despite the adverse weather conditions setting in late in the race with only about 10 laps to go, and the track conditions quickly changing from dry, perfect conditions to damp and now to wet, Tony Ukic has made the best of it. He stood out there on those dry tires and is running away with this one. He knew what he was doing, felt he had enough confidence to get the job done, and he's proving it here tonight. Yes, he's slowing down immensely in these corners. Yes, he has to baby his car around the track. And yes, he's probably just lightly tapping the throttle to come out of those corners, but he's getting the job done. And that's what it's all about, folks. That's what the competition is all about. That's why these guys race here at United Racers League. It is the advent of the unknown that makes things exciting as he comes around the last bend to cross the start-finish line. Takes it a little bit wide. And there you have it, folks. The checkered flag for your race winner, Tony Ukic. Great job for Tony, having taken pole and the race win. And now Alex Scott coming around that last turn, deciding to want to do a little drifting, will finish in P2. Great run, Alex Scott. Peter Backus in P3. Was not too far behind, I tell you. He wasn't too far behind. Gonna drift it across the finish line. Oh, keep it. Keep it straight, brother. Keep it straight. You gotta cross the start-finish line for it to count. There you go. We still have racers out there on the track that are racing for position, folks. Let's remember them as well. Steen Mikkel Olsen, who was in a battle with Mike Greatrix. Mike Greatrix was probably trying to get that position back, but takes it off into the grass. So Steen going to cross the line in fourth. Mike Greatrix in fifth. Miguel Santiago Carao in sixth. Miko Korkiakowski in seventh. Avik Panexander will cross in eighth. Fabio Bartolai in 9th, Florin Manalock in 10th, Anzi Rast will finish in 11th, good for you Anzi. Manilo Liguri will finish 12th, Alex Fennell in 13th, Angelo Guidici in 14th, Ruan Joubert 15th, Reinhard Berger 16th, Sando Donadel in 17th. So that's everybody, folks. That is the race, and again, we do still have a couple of folks that are probably yet to cross the finish line. Avik, Fabio, Florin, Manalock. We do want to give them their due respects and their due time. So these guys are still racing. On board with Avik Panexander. Avik going to be finishing in P8. Even though it's reading P7, we had some folks drop already. He's either going to be P8 or P9. And there it is for Avik. He is making his way by. Trying to make it to the finish line anyway. And will bring it into the pits to close out his last lap. So there you have it, folks, from Watkins Glen International. A great run by Tony Ukic. And folks, we will have to see, but I am pretty certain that Tony may have taken the Drivers' Championship. So, for the United Racers League, my name is Ken Rodriguez. I want to thank those that were able to join via the broadcast. I want to thank you guys for joining us, and we will be communicating further when our next broadcast for GT1 will start up again. Take a look at the website www.unitedracersleague.com. Until then, I'm Ken Rodriguez, United Racers League GT1 Racing. Thanks for joining us.